regional head of ByBit in the Middle East region. Derek, you chose the best year to join this kind of, it's a crazy year for Bitcoin, for crypto, for the Middle East in general. Like, just, things are progressing fast, things are moving fast. And tomorrow is an exact repeat, I'm pretty sure, of the 2010 World Cup first match between Mexico and South Africa, Bafana Bafana. And you guys have a very cool campaign to go along with it. So I'm very excited to have you on the show. We have Aram back as well. Aram and I have been chatting a lot about Bybit, exploring your campaign, exploring where the market's going. So we're very, very happy to have Derek on. Before I get to you, Derek, just want to check in with my co-host. How are you doing, Mr. Aram?
Doing pretty good. GM from Asia.
GM to you, mate. What's your take on where we're at right now, in the world? Like, I feel like for me, like, one metric that I'm looking at right now is STRC, the stock, the stretch, it's
Fresh,
not
yeah.
trading at par. Michael Saylor's having a bit of a rough time raising money to cover his obligations, and Bitcoin is looking very weak, in the 60 region. So, and this is typically like towards the bottom phase. Like, you stack BTC long term, you'll always be rewarded. Not financial advice. This is life advice. But it does feel like we're like, are we at a bottom, or is there more pain? Like, what's your take on that?
I think what happened was that Sailor sold what like $2.5 million worth of Bitcoin, right? So it's a small amount, but the market's reaction was very punishing, and I think he learns the lesson because recently he was posting things like you sell your kidney if you have to, but don't ever sell your Bitcoin. And now he's like, okay, I think we can sell our Bitcoin. And I think he sold a small amount to test the market, and he got a pretty big pushback from the market. So by selling a small amount to pay his yield, he's actually going to lose a lot when it comes to his NAV. So I think it's not a good move, and I hope he learned the lesson. And yeah, I mean, and then of course the second big thing is we have these AI IPOs coming up. We have the SpaceX in 2 days, and then there is Anthropic and OpenAI. So these IPOs, these are the biggest ones we've ever had. So they're going to suck up a lot of liquidity. You remember what happened when Trump dropped his meme coin? Like literally every other token on Solana just crashed, and Solana's price hit all-time high. I think we might have a temporary thing, and then things will get back to normal. But I think it's going to be a bit of a rocky season.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like liquidity is all in where AI is right now. And Derek, you posted about this, and we'll definitely get into it. Because like the difference now is that we can buy all these IPOs on chain. We can, speculate on what's happening with capex spending or defense spending or dollar euro rates. Like all these TradFi instruments, most of them are tradable on chain. Like yes, there's a long tail that isn't, but slowly but surely, it's not just a meme anymore. That if you have stable coins, you don't have to take your money out in order to buy SpaceX or Tesla or whatever. You can buy that on chain. You can buy that on Bybit, which is what's very cool. So, Derek, without further ado, welcome to the show. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Like we generally like to know the person before we get into the coin, because at the end of the day, Web3 is about the people. So, how did you get to where you are? Like, a day before the World Cup, launching what is going to be one of the biggest campaigns around the World Cup and crypto, and trying to just bring all these worlds together.
Thank you, Dudu, and thank you, Aram. It's really my great honor to join this podcast. And hello, all to the audience. It's my great pleasure to meet with you as well. So, first of all, for myself, I think many of you have known that I dropped my PhD actually. So I used to be a PhD student at Rodman School of Management, University of Toronto. It's one of the top 20 business schools in the world. So I was majoring at marketing with a specific concentration on consumer psychology. So, but halfway through my PhD career, actually, I dropped because of a very good opportunity from a startup company. Actually, that one is funded by HNA group, and at that time they were doing a lot of international mergers and acquisitions. So I was really fascinated about that opportunity. So I actually gave up my PhD and I joined that company. To many people's surprise, because to be honest with you, I was raised up in a traditional Chinese family. Both my parents are teachers. So, I mean, just similar as what most Chinese kids would do, we got good education, we go to good colleges. I even go to, US universities. I got two of my masters. I'm supposed to get my PhD and then end up with being a professor at one of the good business schools. So that's my career. That's kind of like pre-designed, but I said no to that path. So I think I really want to do something meaningful to the world. So I'm asking myself, what is the meaning or impact I could contribute to the world if I end up with being a B school professor? At that time, I feel like academic research doesn't really much contribute much to the real world economy. So that's also the very important reason that I want to drop off the from the PhD program. And I spent 7 years actually in New York, working for this company, basically on traditional finance investment and also art investment. Also, well, I'm also a very good expert in contemporary and modern art. So you guys have any discussion if you want on art, I'm definitely going to be an expert on you in terms of art pieces. So and then I actually left New York, unfortunately, because of COVID. So back, and I remember it was 2020. So it was a huge hit to us as well. We couldn't really run the business anymore. So that's also the time that I decided to move to Dubai, late 2020. And because when I was doing that traditional finance investment, I'm already aware of Bitcoin, so I'm really fascinated by how cool it is. But I don't really know how Bitcoin or crypto exchange was running at that time, and there was a cool opportunity for me to be involved in the crypto exchange, mostly serving Asian market. So that's how I started in the Web3 industry about 5 years ago, literally starting from zero. And then I went to another exchange, really doing a lot of business, starting from zero to one. And then I got a lot of experience, how to scale up business. Later on, I was transferred to a public chain project. And by that time, I was covering the international market. So I have a better understanding of how different regions and different users from different countries and regions behave. Uh, Early 2025, I joined BigEd as the head of growth operations. So I was covering multiple regions like MENA, like Japan, Taiwan, and even Africa. So that year of experience actually gave me a lot of more practical experience in terms of how to, scale up business. And I joined ByBit earlier this year. To many people's surprise again, and a lot of people just ask me why, because BitGet is also a great exchange. Why do I want to make a move? It's simply because what I think ByBit's positioning and strategy matches better in terms of my long-term goal. So as you may know, ByBit is now fully regulated in UAE. We got ESCA license. We also get the IPA from VARA. So we're trying to build up a new financial platform by providing, fiat infrastructure, RWA tokenization. We're also, making ByBit Card and ByBit Pay more accessible to daily life users. Yeah, I mean, this is a totally different strategy. And this is really what I want to purchase in terms of the new financial platform, especially that we're emphasizing a lot of integrating Web2 users and converting Web2 users into Web3. So, I mean, the moment I entered Web3, I think the integration between Web2 and Web3 is definitely going to be the mainstream. So that matches exactly as what my plan is in terms of my career. So that's why I'm here now as a regional head of MENA, and I'm actually very glad about my choice. I'm also very proud to be here.
Amazing
Yes.
story, Derek. I think for what I get is like a insatiable appetite for for more and for impact on the world. And you pursue that in the ivory tower, studying consumer psychology. But there's no better school for consumer psychology than watching degenerates gamble around their fucking money all day. Like you're learning firsthand. This is your doctorate, your postdoctorate, all wrapped up in one. So I'm curious before we get to Aram, like what kind of lessons have you learned about consumer psychology from the trenches, from working with with gamblers, with traders, with investors, with all sorts of users that you wouldn't have ever learned in the university?
Very good question. Actually, behavioral economy or behavioral analysis really helps a lot in our daily life operations. This is exactly what I'm doing every day now with my team members because we have over 20 countries in MENA, and users from different countries they show different kind of like risk appetite. Some of them are risk seeking, and some of them are risk aversive. So we really need to dig into details about why and what kind of users are more risk seeking versus risk averse. And for risk seeking users, what kind of product they are more into. And for risk aversive ones, what kind of product we could offer to them. So I think this is one of the very interesting things that I've been learning through my exchange experiences. Secondly, I'm also using actually a lot of behavioral research findings nowadays into the daily operations. So I can share one very small example. It's called comparative mindset. What does that mean? So if I ask you what is your favorite color, blue or red, if you answer it, then you will be more likely to spend money or make a trade compared to someone that just didn't get the answer. Why? It's because of by asking you about which one you like better, I put you in the comparative mindset so that you tend to actually put yourself in this mode because during the regular purchase we have several steps. First one, do you want to buy or not? Second step is which one do you want to choose? So by asking the first question, I put you on the second step already. So you don't ask yourself what I want to buy or not. You ask yourself which one I want to buy. This is called the comparative mindset, and it's been actually tested through many laboratory experiments. So I actually applied this little finding to our daily operations in a lot of aspects, and it worked pretty well. So I mean, behavioral science really does help. Little things actually make a huge difference in terms of consumer behavior and their I won't call it gambling, but their trading and their purchase behavior.
Yeah, very interesting. I was also thinking I think you brought the example about the color, like you can also ask in the context of crypto, like about meme coins or something, and then that will probably increase the likelihood that the person is going to trade, right? Am I thinking right about it?
Yeah, not just asking about one, but you have to put people in terms of this comparative mindset. So you give
Mhm.
them choices, choose one over the other, then it triggers their motivation actually to trade or to
Okay.
purchase.
All right. All right.
It's
Let
kind
me
of
let me
like a trigger.
Okay. Okay, so on that note, I'm curious to see what's your take on this thing, right? So you talked about your experience. You have Asian background. You've worked in New York. You've worked in Asia. You cover African markets before. Now you are in the Middle East. So for someone who's not very well familiar with the Middle East, right? So it's widely known. It's one of the most important markets for crypto, and the UAE is leading the way. But for someone who's not very well familiar, can you make the case why it is important? Why UAE? Why not Singapore? Why not Hong Kong? Why not US? I want you to kind of use this approach to kind of make a case for the UAE, right? And yeah, and you've been also here for 5 years, and you have lived in many different countries, so you can also tell your personal story.
Yep. So geographically, UAE, especially the Middle East, sit in the middle between the East and the West. And we also see a lot of like international business going on in this region. So there's been a lot of like international trading, international trades, remittance, e-commerce going on in this region. First of all, secondly, I think UAE is very unique in terms of regulation, infrastructure, talents, and also the vast market. I'll explain each. In terms of regulation, we have ASCA. So ByBit already got the ASCA license for the UAE. We have VARA for Dubai. We also have ADGM sitting in Dubai, actually covering the global market. And then we have a lot of innovation zones like DIFC. We also have DNCC. So in terms of regulation, I think regulators like VARA and ASCA, they already provide very clear guidance and framework in terms of what we could do and what we could not do. This is going to be very helpful. And secondly, in terms of infrastructure, so we have the very cool banking infrastructure, financial institutions. We have all these kinds of venture capitals, family offices, all kinds of investment funds sitting here, right?
Mhm.
And talents. Well, UAE is the place that attracts really talents from all over the world, not only the East but also the West. We have a lot of professionals, financial professionals, working in the traditional finance, and a lot more Web3 professionals coming here. You know,
Mhm.
either like ecosystem partners or traders, investors, or even we have most of the crypto exchanges now having office in Dubai.
Mhm.
So the first part is the mass market. UAE is unique because it has a large population of expats. So while others see these expats as low value customers, I see them of the potential ones that we should definitely convert into Web3. Think about it. These expats living in UAE, they're working here, right? They earn
Mhm.
monthly salary in dirhams,
Yeah.
and they have this regular need to send money back home. And what we've been doing previously is with traditional like exchange houses or via like international wire transfers, which is costly and also time consuming. So
Mhm.
think about in this way: we have more than 8 million expats live in UAE. If we could convert even half of them into crypto users, so that they can use crypto for the regular monthly remittance back home,
Mhm.
then our crypto adoption rate gets to be way much higher. So I see a huge market here because I think these expats are definitely the group of people we should try to educate and convert.
Yeah, it's very interesting. You talked here about the UAE and its regulatory environment, and this is usually the first country where people think about the Middle East. UAE is the capital, but UAE is not. Sorry, the Middle East is not just UAE. There is a lot of other countries, right? So when you guys think about the growth, right? The first step is the UAE, but then how do you think in terms of the next steps? Where does Bahrain fit in that picture, and how overall do you think is the best growth strategy for expanding in the region outside as a second step after the UAE?
Good question. Actually, for Bahrain, we already got the IPA also for
Hmm.
two entities, the exchange service and also the PSP service. So yeah, and we're actually setting up local branches in Bahrain, and we're going to be have the full launch soon once we get the official approval for the final license. So UAE and Bahrain are now the two countries that have the clear regulation and also have the license for
Hmm.
exchanges. I know there are some other countries who are also in plan to have some regulatory clarity. Like I know, like Qatar
Hmm.
government is in discussion and planning for that, and the Jordan government is also quite interested in regulatory clarity. So I see that a lot of more countries are catching up.
Hmm.
So we're definitely pursuing these countries where there's possibility for license application for sure. What are we going to do with these countries when we get licensed, especially in UAE and Bahrain? So the first thing we do is always fiat infrastructure.
Hmm.
This is what ByBit has been focusing on since the start of 2020. Also, our CEO Ben shared this vision during his keynote speech earlier this year. Why? Because only when we have the solid fiat infrastructure, we could get more users, especially Web2 users, into Web3. and then we can increase the mass adoption of crypto. Just think about it this way, a lot of users, they have the traditional bank account, right, sitting
Hmm.
there, and they don't know how to convert, or a better way to convert these into crypto. So if we have the clear and easy bank solution, fiat on and off ramp for them, they can just make the bank deposit directly, and then it will the fiat money is going to show in the Bybit account, and they can just convert it into crypto easily through our trading pair on Bybit. Wouldn't that be fascinating, right? Especially for these aspects. Also, besides this kind of fiat on and off ramp, Bybit is also providing a new service called MyBank. So basically, this is a US dollar transfer channel. Users can transfer US dollars and withdraw US dollars freely to and from Bybit. Also, once the user deposit US dollars to Bybit, they can use the Bybit as a traditional bank. They can send the US dollars out for
Mm.
free to
Wow.
any other US dollar accounts. So this is actually a new service they're launching right now, and it's now in the test period. And
Mhm.
anyone that interested in this service, feel free to reach out to do RM, or even direct message me on LinkedIn. You're more than welcome to try this service. So by providing this kind of similar to bank service, we're really trying to close the gap between Web 2 and Web 3. And all these efforts will lead to the final adoption rate increase.
You
I
know,
love it.
I
I think the future is really Bybit and all the other crypto exchanges having higher market cap than banks, because they can't do what you guys can, and you can do what they can. You just you get the right licensing in the right parts of the world, and like regulatory clarity is everything. Because I know from where I live that if the government isn't on board and the fiat rails are impossible to come by, it's very hard. There's a lot of friction. Like when I try and onboard people to crypto, there's like 101 different steps that they have to do, and like move your money from here to there and move it to here and then deposit here. And there's a whole story. The smoother the better, and there's no better place than the UAE for that. I want to go before we go carry on the show. I do want to announce this giveaway that we're going to run at the end of the show right now. Let me show you what we're talking about here. We are having a specific World Cup giveaway with Bear, with Derek and Aram, and this is dovetails with the campaign, the larger $1 million campaign that ByBit are running, that we will announce later today as well. So as you can see, whoever's commented on this thread is now has their name on here. So if you are watching this, drop a comment, enter the giveaway, and we will run a simulation at the end of the show. Whoever's name pops up will win the $100. As simple as that. And don't waste your opportunity, and we will get into the World Cup campaign soon because it's a big one. So that's the giveaway. And where were we? We were talking about UAE, fiat on ramps, off ramps, all the fun stuff. And I really interrupted Aram before he was going into another question on the topic.
No, I was about to share my experience. I've lived in the Middle East before COVID. I'm talking about circa 2015 to 2018, and I purchased my first Bitcoin in 2017. And the pain points that Derek was mentioning were it was so hard, right? Like I think I used some exchange that doesn't exist now anymore, and then I literally had to do Swift transfer to a US bank account to deposit these funds. And then I purchased my first Bitcoin, which I haven't sold yet. And then the other point about sending money home, right? I had to go take out the cash. Then I had to go to the broker. I had to give the cash to the broker who was taking this heavy fee, which was absolutely ridiculous. And I was like, why can't there just be an easy way? And like, I wish I was like living in the UAE like now, because I could just use Bybit and like in one click, I could use my dirham, my bank, and I could just transfer my dirham and they just purchase crypto and then send money to my parents. So we have come a long way, and it's really good to see that we have the right regulatory environment that allows you to use basically the money that you're getting as salary to purchase crypto and actually send money to your loved ones. So just wanted to share my experience because it was really painful back then.
Oh, I can totally understand your feeling because yeah, that was a headache. And to be honest with you, I think what we really need to build fiat infrastructure is definitely the most important one. I
Mhm.
think this is how we can actually further expand the Web3 industry and the crypto market. So,
Mhm.
and to my understanding, I think we have to keep building
Yeah.
until the day that maybe our 80-year grandmother could use the bank account to purchase Bitcoin and then pass it to her grandson. Then, I mean, by that day, we can say, oh, really, finally, we achieved some progress and success in terms of crypto adoption. So, but I think with everyone, building not only Bybit, but also all other like institutions, companies, projects, working together in terms of this mass adoption, we will achieve
Mm.
that day for sure.
Right. And I wanted to touch upon one more thing because, a lot of people know Bybit as the crypto exchange, but then we just discussed one specific use case, which is essentially money remittances. You're sending money home, right? So it's not just pure, I'm going to buy this crypto, I'm going to trade. It's an actual use case which can be applicable for millions and millions of people in the UAE. And there is this new use case, and I saw that you made a post about it, and I made a post about it today, which is this upcoming AI IPO season, and we are going to have SpaceX day after tomorrow. It's going to be the largest IPO of all time. Then we have Anthropic and OpenAI, right? And then there's a lot of other exciting companies lined up. And then I saw that Bybit is offering this Bybit IPO Express, essentially where you can just go and participate in that. Maybe you can tell me like how it works on a high level for people who don't know, and then what's your thought around it? Like, because I think there's this narrative that these AI IPOs are going to suck some liquidity from crypto markets. So you guys are trying to be in all the places. So if crypto volume goes down a little bit, you try to compensate it with this AI IPO thing. Just want to hear your thoughts on this one because you made a post about it recently.
Yep. Okay, good question. First of all, our SpaceX IPO was just so successful. It's
Mhm.
already oversubscribed like several hours ago. So I think in less than 48 hours, it was already all gone. So sorry for the ones who actually didn't got the chance to subscribe it this time, but we're gonna have
Mhm.
more IPO opportunities coming up. And back to the SpaceX IPO, this is actually the very first time that we offer this service. And one key feature about this is actually this tokenized IPO is one-to-one backed with a real world shares. So that's why we've got a lot of users asking us, "Hey, if I subscribe to you guys, can you guarantee the allocation?" The question is no, unfortunately, because we're backed one-to-one with real world assets. There's no guarantee in the real, actually, the stock shares. So for the tokenized ones, we cannot guarantee that either. But from a strategic perspective, why do we have to do that? It's not because we're trying to compete with this or trying to borrow the heat from this AI hotness. No, it's not because of that. It's because we think this tokenized IPO is a great opportunity for regular users also to participate in this kind of maybe the largest IPO in the human history ever. So we actually lower the barrier. Any regular user could participate with just 100 USDC. So just think about it. Uh, those who living in Africa maybe who don't really even have a bank account, but he or she holds crypto, and he could participate in this IPO opportunity. Wouldn't that be fascinating? It's kind of innovative. So we're giving new opportunities for these people who probably won't be able to have the fiat access because of limitations on their local fiat infrastructure, right? So
Mhm.
we actually increase the accessibility of the IPO opportunity, tokenized IPO opportunity to regular users. That's the first thing. Secondly, many of you have realized that if you are participating in a traditional IPO subscription, there is actually a lockdown time, about 15 or 16 days. Once you get the subscription, you cannot sell the stock. But
Yeah.
on crypto exchange, we don't have this limit. So once the subscription is down, you can trade the tokenized stock immediately through Bybit and through other exchanges. So this is the second. That's the second thing. And thirdly, I think by doing this tokenized IPO, we're also showing the world actually the gap between Web3 and Web2 is really, really small right now. So, you know, crypto is really bridging the gap between Web2 and Web3. Yeah, so this is overall my take away from the IPO. And since the popularity of this one, I think there's going to be more IPO opportunities coming up for sure. So stay tuned.
Yeah, I
Also, back.
definitely think.
Sorry.
No, go for it. I'll finish your thought. That I'm very happy that anyone can participate in IPOs because, like, a lot of people are saying that the private markets are the big winners here. Like they made all the money. SpaceX IPOing over $1 trillion, and you know what? The thing is that some people in some parts of the world can't even access IPOs. Never mind the private market. And the big dream of tokenization of Web3 decentralizing finance is that you open up finance, you open up prosperity for people all over the world that weren't necessarily born in Greenwich, Connecticut, or some other wide-heeled place and went to the right sailor clubs and the right and ate at the right restaurants in the Hamptons. Like anyone, anywhere, whether they're in Asia or in Africa or in the Middle East or whatever they may be, they can buy high performing AI bets on the future of humanity, on our multi galactic Elon Musk led future, and make 10x their money. So it's very, very bullish to hear that from you.
Exactly. And I'm so glad. Oh, we got a question?
Who's this? Is this someone from ByBit? Because he's answering as if uh, we are pushing for across Africa. I don't know if he's a ByBit. Because someone asked you, is the bank feature just for the UAE? And then some other dude, Nehemiah, is he on your team? Because right now, ByBit zero bank fees optimized for UAE, but this is exactly the type of infrastructure we are pushing for across Africa. So I don't know what you're talking about. I think people want to know, like we're talking about Middle East expansion. Obviously, the region is quite diverse in terms of its regulatory structures, but people here from Africa, they want to know what other regions, if any, is this bank feature available on.
So, in terms of the licenses, first of all, we got a lot of license in different jurisdictions. We got the MiCA license for Europe. We have a license actually from Japan, from Malaysia, from like Georgia, Kazakhstan, from Brazil, from a lot more countries. So in the countries where fully regulated, we will all provide this fiat on and off ramp service at very, very low cost. So check with us once we have the regulated site launched. And then for the US dollar my bank service I just shared, this one is actually in the test period right now. So we're inviting users actually to test the service for us. And during the test period, all the transaction is for free. Once it's been tested and we think that it's ready to be launched, we're going to do a full launch. And by that time, I think most of the users from different regions will be able to participate. Maybe just limit to very few jurisdictions that have some regulatory exceptions. So yeah, check with our customer service in terms of the availability of the fiat on and off ramp, especially for the jurisdictions that we already have the license.
Epic. So that was a lot of countries that you guys listed. That's an impressive regime of licensing. And licenses are everywhere, and they getting easier to obtain as more countries introduce regulatory clarity in their own country. So let me remind you guys before we have a lot of new people, reminder to leave your comments and your questions for Derek, because that was an excellent question about the jurisdictional positioning of ByBit. We had a great answer from Derek, and this is what happens when you answer. You ask a question, leave a comment, and you will be put into the raffle for $100 by ByBit. Uh, yeah, I think I think we're in for a very crazy couple months with all these tech IPOs over the summer, and BTC. It seems like it's taking a back seat, except for hype. I think is the only crypto that sort of has some hype and buzz around it at the moment. Perps are becoming much more common, much more, much more in demand. The CFTC gave them their blessing not so long ago. We're seeing, prediction market launching perps, and we perps launching prediction market. So it's very clear that being able to speculate on any TradFi asset, the kind of financialization of everything is coming on chain. And you guys have, we saw interface. I'll go into it in a few minutes after we talk about the campaign as well. But you guys have this gorgeous interface to trade stocks, to trade commodities. Can you run us through a bit how how's that working? A little bit behind the scenes, like what kind of assets do you have trading there? What kind of leverage? Like what the user experience like for someone who wants to trade TradFi assets with crypto?
Great question. So actually, Bybit is the one of the first, actually the first crypto exchange that offers the TradeFi service since last year. So we actually collaborate with X Stocks and providing a whole list of tokenized stocks, tokenized gold, silver, tokenized indices, commodities, etc. Also like tokenized forex. So and from the innovative perspective, this is really important because I think it has several meanings. First of all, we're actually giving crypto users a wider choice in terms of what they can trade, right? So see, nowadays U.S. stock has attracted most of the liquidity because of the AI boom, and users is able to trade these tokenized U.S. stocks on crypto exchanges directly. Secondly, TradeFi is also a very helpful tool in terms of attracting, traditional and Web2 users, because they could now trade traditional stocks, tokenized traditional stocks on us, and meanwhile they could also trade crypto. So I see it as two ways. First of all, it's definitely giving more opportunities to Web3 users, and secondly, to attract Web2 users to Web3. So and yep.
Yeah, that's great. I think that's the underpinning everything, that we want to kind of increase the pie, make it bigger for everybody, and bring essentially everybody on chain through this kind of back door, front door, side door of stocks, bonds, commodities, all of that on chain. It's super exciting. I want to get into the campaign, but first, you came into to ByBit this year in 2026, and now the last couple of months, we can't get away from the biggest hack in the history of the world, and you guys are still standing. Like I remember Ben got on what Shift did podcast just after the hack, like 24 hours after, and he showed his like heart rate monitor, and he showed that he hadn't really had any like biological peak in stress while this was going. He managed to keep his cool. You guys are, all guns blazing. You you know, especially for me as a marketer, you're in the consumer psychology. Like the sentiment around Bybit is great. The energies are good going into this campaign. So, like, run me through a bit of your experience. Maybe you came in the middle, but of how kind of you use this as an opportunity and not a threat.
Okay, I know this question is coming. So, uh, actually, it was hard to ignore the fact that it is the largest hack in the crypto history, right? But the fact is that when that happened, I hadn't joined Bybit. It was back in February 2025. So I really don't have insider details to offer for this question. But there's something I could share. First of all, the incident was actually one of the ways I knew Bybit was the real deal. Uh, and as an industry insider, but the Bybit outside back then, I watched the whole thing and how it unfolded in the total shock. And actually, the way Bybit responded by simply owning it at the first instance truly impressed me. So I think Bybit did three things right. First of all, transparency. Uh, like Ben, our CEO, uh, he was doing a live stream on the same, I believe it's on the same evening, right? Explaining everything. And secondly, they kept the platform running and did not even try to suspend fund withdrawals. Then they continued to be transparent after the incident and kept updating the public about its new security measures and even set up a bounty hunter platform. So, this is really, really good initiatives. And there was an old saying, what did not knock you down makes you stronger. So I think from this incident, from this hack, uh, people can see a stronger Bybit for resilience and prosperity and also the bright future. So yeah, this is my takeaway from this incident.
Yeah, I remember when the hack happened, like one of the things that stood out to me was how Ben, he was really transparent and he really took responsibility. And then that really just gave trust. Because you see, one thing that, like, I think in April, we had the highest number of hacks in crypto history ever, right? And a lot of these hacks, when it happens, what's happening is that the founder is silent, they're not replying to their community, everything goes silent, there's a panic spreading, and the way the Bybit handled this was completely different. So I think it's a classic case that I think this actually should go into the textbooks of how you should handle a crisis management. It was like a really good leadership demonstration of how you stay cool under extreme stress and handle the situation. So it was handled very well.
Oh, definitely. I think that's also one of the very important reasons. Like finally, I decided to join Bybit.
I want to get into the campaign. I want to show people the World Cup, and then we'll end off with our lightning round. Derek, I'm going to share my screen. I want to see this campaign, and I need your help walking me and the audience through this. How can we win this $1 million? What you guys got going on? The World Cup starts tomorrow. I want to share my screen in a second. Uh, yeah, let's talk a little bit about this campaign, because what I see here is, some sort of bet. Obviously, South Africa are, very much not the favorites. You can sign up. This isn't my, main Chrome browser, but you can sign up. You can bet on the plays. Right, the draw looks pretty good value for money, 9.7x on the draw. So that looks like pretty good value, and you can earn points. You earn points for trading, for depositing, for inviting friends, for everything like that. So yeah, I think Derek, take us a little bit through this, how you guys started this campaign, what you see happening here, and are you excited for the World Cup? Who are you rooting for?
Okay, great. So first of all, because it's a football season, right? And we all think, we should celebrate the football season together with the community. That's why we came up with this really cool and interesting campaign, embracing all kinds of features of football. First of all, this actually campaign is open to all users. Even if you are not a Bybit user already, you can play the mini games and collect points. And if you want exchange points to rewards, then you can decide to sign up a new account with us. And for existing users, there are also ways for you to collect points. Whenever you trade, you will have points, and then you can predict in terms of the matches. You can see these bets, and we will calculate your points. Basically, if you win, then you add up to your points, and if you lose, some points is going to deduct it. So you trade more, you get more points. The more matches that you win in terms of prediction, you get more points. And we have three phases. In the first phase, once we're done with all the points, then we'll allocate the rewards based on your point distribution. So, and all the points will be cleared to the next phase. And then in the third, at the end of the second phase, it's going to be cleared again. And then we start all over again from the third phase. So basically, this is just a pretty simple structure. You trade more, you get more points. You could use the points to make predictions and can even more, or maybe even lose more. So yeah, this is a mechanism, and I really invite everyone actually to give it a try. Even if you don't have the account, you can play our mini game for free.
Oh, that's pretty cool. So, who's your favorite team? Who are you? Who's getting your bet in this World Cup?
Well, I would say a name that might surprise you a lot, but I've been following this team for quite a long time, and they haven't really won the World Cup before. But to me, I think this is really a strong team. So you probably know who I'm talking about, even though it's not a big favorite right now. But I would go with Netherlands.
Oh, okay, interesting. I was
How
thinking
about you
maybe
guys?
yeah, maybe you say like Croatia or something because I think, okay, I've been watching all football World Cups since like 2006, I think. Yeah, I think my favorite is like I was in Brazil last year, so I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna pick Brazil. Who's your one, Dudu?
It's a good question. I think the surprise of the tournament in a good way is going to be Norway with Haaland and Odegaard. I think the disappointment of the tournament will probably be, honestly, I want to go with England. Like they just like I think they're gonna choke somewhere, quarterfinal, semi-final, and the winners. It's I think it's either like it's probably France. They have way too much strength and depth across every area of the pitch. They have championship pedigree. I think it's definitely a French title. It's Spain are pretty good too. Messi and Argentina, but I think it's France for the win. As
All
much as
right.
it pains me to say it, I've got now. I put a sign up link right to this competition. There's also a QR code that I'm putting on and off. So if you're in the comments, like I can't show it up on the screen for some reason, but you'll see it in the comments. The sign up link for this event, right? I'll also message it to everyone after the show. Uh, Thank you for joining. Thank you for commenting. To all the homies that have joined us, you've got Gidon hopping for Holland, right? He agrees with you, Derek. So let's go Netherlands. Confidence and Avi and Merit and Adil and Alon and everyone in the audience. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. It's been a great show, and we're getting toward the final segment, which is the lightning round. Derek, this is where we ask you, quick, sharp questions, trying to get your, unfiltered take on the topic. Right. Let's start with BTC price at the end of the year. No equivocating, no, second guessing. What is your feeling?
Quick answer:
Quick answer.
90K.
Yeah, that's not a bad one. I would take that definitely. I think I tend to agree with you. I think we have a little bit of down to come, a little bit of sideways action, and then towards the end of the year, we'll start to recuperate Q4. Aram, you want to ask him the next question?
Yeah, sure. I'm curious, what's one thing that people get wrong about building in Web3 space in the Middle East?
Sorry.
What's one thing that outsiders get wrong about building in crypto in the Middle East?
What's Oh wow, that's a good
Yeah.
question. So a lot of people think that, for example, crypto exchanges are just for trading, but actually nowadays, crypto changes has evolved, especially for Bybit. It's not just a trading platform or a derivative platform. So we have a lot more to offer. Like what we discussed just today, we have this, fiat infrastructure building. We have RWA tokenization. We also have the Bybit Pay, Bybit card service. That is really fascinating. Users can actually use Bybit Pay and Bybit card in a daily life, for coffee, for subscriptions to like ChatGPT, and
Hmm.
for hotel stays, for travels. And we also have the remittance service, and we have this, my bank service. So crypto exchanges has now evolved completely from just a trading platform to a new financial platform, just as what Bybit is doing right now.
Hmm.
So we're not just trying to build a new trading platform, but a more comprehensive new financial platform.
Yeah, I mean, we've got questions here about prediction markets. What's your take on that?
Well, definitely. I mean, for regulated prediction market, I think it's a very cool service. But we don't call it prediction market on Bybit. Even though we have this campaign, you can make assumptions and you can predict, but it's a different format from the prediction market model. I would say, it's a cool actually a feature added up to the industry for sure. We need all kinds of this different products and features.
Epic. I love the idea of prediction markets and also what you got to assumption markets. A year from now, what's the one milestone you want to point back on?
Excuse me, what's the coin?
What's the one milestone you would like to point back on and say, I'm proud of that?
For myself.
You can take that any way you want. It's about you. Like, well, what's the one milestone? I guess it should be like some sort of work related, unless like you really want to dominate
Oh
the
wow,
piano or
man, you just
karate.
okay. So I didn't really share the story with others, um, but I have to admit that the time that I arrived in Dubai, back in late 2020, it was really the darkest and the lowest point of my life. I suffered a lot actually, uh, because my previous work was not going well because of COVID. So all of a sudden, I think I lost a lot. So that was the really the hardest time for me. And I don't even want to recall these of experience. We can talk about that later in the different session, maybe. But there are always ups and downs in our life, just as
Yeah,
the cycle of crypto, right? There are always ups and downs. Um, and I would say the first milestone is the time that I got my first job in Web3. Because there was several months of hesitation, anxiety, and self-suspect, and a lot of frustration, and I even want to give up at that time.
bro, that's what I think about every time I open the Bitcoin chart in the morning, and then I have to shower
Exactly,
and to go to work.
exactly.
Hesitation, anxiety, frustration,
And
all of the above, just
yeah,
right
no,
up in
yes,
one.
self-suspicion. But luckily, I think my first job in Web3 really saved me. So I think this is really an important turn point for me in my life and also in my career. So I really started rebuild myself from that moment, and that's why just 5 years after that, I'm here now with ByBit as the regional head of MENA. One of the most important regions in terms of crypto innovation and expansion. So I think that's the most important milestone for me, really.
That's
And well, we don't have time for today, but I'm more than happy to share more stories back then. So, but
Yeah, well, I think you're coming soon, so we'll definitely get to share a lot of stories because
yeah, and
I've been in cryptos for 7 years and like ups and downs, like you mentioned them, and it's so real, and the people outside won't know it, like what it's like to have, one period of time when you're on top of the world,
yeah,
deal flow and ICOs and Bitcoin's doing well, and it's all hot and sexy, and the next second where you kind of have to scrub off crypto mentions from your bio if you want to get a job or whatever. So it's like, riding the wave, it's always, it takes some whiplash, it takes some getting used to, but the fact that you managed to persevere is incredibly inspiring. So thank you for sharing that.
yeah, and I love the story because I just want to tell you, Derek, you are not alone. Like, I also have a similar story. I won't go into all the details. Maybe we should do another one and kind of share more personal stories. But I wanted to say you're not the only one. I was working in Germany, and again, my job wasn't also working out. And during the COVID, I kind of uh, crossed the Rubicon and said, you know what, I'm going all in on Web3. Even though I've been buying Bitcoin since 2017, I wasn't full time working in Web3, so it's I've had a very similar journey where I had to pull the plug and just jump into Web3, and then never really looked back since then. And yeah, it's been ups and downs, but I'm glad I made the choice, and I have zero regrets about it. So
yeah,
yeah,
and what didn't really knock us down make us stronger. I firmly believe
yeah,
that.
exactly. What doesn't kill you? Yeah, yeah, totally. Okay. I guess in terms of the questions, one last thing I wanted to ask on behalf of your users and kind of wrap up things slowly. So we've talked about Bybit starting as an exchange, right? And then we talked about tokenized RWAs in partnership with X stocks, and then this opportunity to buy SpaceX IPO, which I think it's oversubscribed already, but there's more IPOs coming up. And then the Bybit card. And so Bybit is essentially just becoming much more than an exchange. It's used in remittances, etc. So I want to ask on behalf of your users, what's the next big thing they should expect, like this new innovation, new product that exchanges traditionally didn't offer, but you plan to offer or you think will be offered?
Definitely AI. So AI is really the hot topic nowadays, and we have already made the movement. So now Bybit provides the service called AI sub account. So what it does is it's actually it's an API supported feature that enables the
Mhm.
users to link your AI sub account with different types of AI tools like OpenClaw, uh,
Mm,
Claude Code, Gemini, like ChatGPT, etc. So I think each user could open up to five AI sub accounts, and you can use this AI sub account to trade for you. You can talk with the AI and ask for suggestions, etc. There's a lot of cool features that you can do through this AI sub account. So I would really recommend those tech savvy and also AI fans to try it on Bybit. So it's also just freshly launched, not long, just several days ago, and yeah, I've been using it as well. I think it's really cool, and I'm actually very curious about the effectiveness of different AI tools in terms of their profitability. So I'm actually trying to do an experiment, try to compare the
mm,
P&L between different AI tools, like which one is most profitable in terms of their trading. So yeah, so and I think in the future there will be more AI related products embedded on Bybit. So stay tuned with us, but definitely try this AI sub account first with us.
I think
Yeah,
that's an
super
epic way
cool.
to end off. Hey, like we have a great takeaway, like a new feature. I love the experiments you're running. Obviously, I've got my agents. Like I thought about it today on the way to the gym. We're building our personal Javas right now. Like all of us will have our personal Javas that's crunching data, that's looking at information, that's doing everything for us, and we're building that right now. It's super interesting. We have 28 people in today's draw. 28 of you that joined or commented. So thank you guys all for contributing. One of you guys is walking away with $100. We are spinning it right now. Three, two, one, spin. Mr. Joseph Kaplan has won a raffle. It is live, and you all have seen it. We have proof of that. Thank you for Mr. Joseph Kaplan. I will get your UID over to ByBit. Thank you all for participating. Make sure to participate in the ByBit campaign for the World Cup. You will have the link in your DM soon as well. Derek, it was such a pleasure chatting to you, getting to know you. I'm sure this is hopefully the start of many more engagement opportunities together. I'm personally very bullish on MENA as well because I live here and I have to be bullish because we have one of two ways in our region. Either this becomes the Mad Max dystopian shithole where everyone's fighting all the time, or this is a beautiful paradise of innovation and capital accumulation and friendship and brotherhood and culture, a center for Bitcoin and crypto and AI and neighborly relations and good times to flourish. And I was in Abu Dhabi last year, and I felt that. I felt, the kinship. I feel much more kinship, in those nations, like that they're trying to balance. And I feel like the West doesn't have that, like trying to balance between tradition and religion and faith and being cutting edge and being at the forefront of everything. And I felt kinship in that way. So hopefully our region wins. Our region wins when we all get together and dominate. And I'm very bullish on that. So Derek, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you. Thank you for a nice talk. And thank you for the audience for your support.
Awesome. And we'll see you next week for a interview with Oriel Ohayon, the MD at Zengo, newly acquired by eToro. We'll talk a little bit about MPC. We'll have a good time. So thank you guys for joining, for tuning in. See you next week. Peace.